Hey guys, we are going to be making 5.2B number 3, the windshield today. This is our end goal product. We're looking at a plastic windshield. It's got some fillets here and here. It's got an extrusion coming out of the bottom. If we rotate it over, we can see that it's actually hollow in here and hollow in here. So I know this looks a little daunting, but it's really not that big of a deal. We're going to break it down into parts. We're going to do the top section first, and then we'll put in this bottom piece and do some fancy extrusions. All right, so we're going to start out with a new sketch just as usual. Pick your plane. You know, I like the XY. And in PLTW under number 3, we have, I'm just going to bring this over here. We have this nice dimension drawing right here that's going to give us the side profile of the upper part of the windshield. So we're just going to follow that and make it and then extrude that out. So let's start out with a line, and I'm going to go ahead and dimension this as I make it. 3.040. All right, so I'm going to start out with my baseline, and I'm going to show you this diagram again here. We are going to be putting a curve or an arc in here, and an arc in there, and an arc in there. So it's basically one line and 3 arcs. But to know where those arcs are going to stop and start, we're going to go ahead and dimension those. And we're going to be using some construction lines to help facilitate this. So I'm going to be putting in a construction line right here to give me a height of 1, another one right here to give me the distance of 2.55, a third one at the top to give me a distance of 3.010, and then I will just dimension up this arc 0.640, and then I'll just attach the arc here and attach the arc there. So again, it sounds a little daunting, but it's really not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and get our construction line turned on and do a line, and I'm going to put it here on the end, and we said that we wanted a construction line that goes up of 1, and we want one that comes over that is 2.55. All right, and then I want another construction line up here that is going to be 3.010. All right, now I don't know if you noticed, but when I started the construction line here, just by hovering directly above this construction line, I get this blue line that shows up. I'll do it on this side as well. This dashed blue line, and it's just telling me, Inventor is giving me a visual to say, hey, you've got this perfectly lined up with the line below it, which is just helpful when we're modeling things. So I have a couple of construction lines here. I'm going to go ahead and drag that dimension up so it'll be out of our way, but I'm going to move that line down to right about there. And then the last dimension I want to put is going to be from my baseline to my long construction line, and that's going to be a 0.640, because we know, looking at our diagram again, that we want this arc to end at 0.640 up and at 3.010 from this edge. So now let's just put some arcs in. Make sure you have construction line turned off and choose an arc. Default is 3-point arc, that's what we want. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click there, and then I'm just going to make sure that my arc is going slightly off to the left, because that's the direction I want my arc to be. And this is an arc of 6 degrees. All right, and you'll see this dimension line that'll shoot off way over here, because that would be a a radius of 6 on a very, very large circle. All right, next one we want to do, again, we're going to choose our arc. We're going to start here at the end, and we're going to the end of this construction line. And again, that one has a radius of 0.4, so it's much smaller radius. So it's going to be a sharper arc. And then our last one, we're just going to connect these two, and it has, again, a radius of 6. So now we have our basic shape there. At this point in time, save yourself a lot of headache and get rid of these construction lines and the dimensions that go with them, so they will not cause any problems for us as we move forward. Now we have arcs that are being connected, we need to finish constraining it. So we're going to use the tangent constraint and just apply a tangent constraint to those two intersections right there. Finish your sketch, and we are going to extrude this. Trying to remember what the depth for that one is. Extrude this to a depth of 2.55. All right, guys, we have done the basic profile of our windshield. The next instruction is asking us to do a fillet along this edge and this edge so that we can get these curves right there. All right, so we're just going to choose fillet. It's a 1/2 inch fillet. Click both sides, say apply. You can close that window, and that's done. Now, if we go back and look at our completed product, we have the top half of our windshield pretty much finished. The last thing we need to do is hollow it out. So if I look at my completed one, under here, it's hollowed out, or it's shelled out. So if we look at the one we're working on right now, it's solid on the bottom. So we're going to use a new feature called shell, right? You have to choose the face that you want to have removed. So we're going to go ahead and choose this bottom face. It looks a little weird when you do that. Put in your thickness. Put in your thickness, which is 0.07, and this is from our dimension drawing. And go ahead and click OK. And now what that means is that we have cleaned out all of this inside and left a side thickness, what I've just highlighted in red, is a dimension of 0.07. Occasionally, gentlemen, you'll put in a thickness on a shell and it won't work and you'll get an error message. Usually that means that the shell thickness you've chosen isn't compatible with the sketch that you have. Occasionally you'll miss a zero and Inventor just can't deal with it and it kind of freaks out. So check your thicknesses if you run into that problem. Okay, next we need to put in the extrusion that comes out of the bottom. So this part right here. So I am, for the sake of simplicity, so my sketch matches up with the dimension drawing that my PLTW provided with us, I am going to put in a work blade along the bottom of my windshield. And I'm going to try that again. So now that I've added my work plane to the bottom of the windshield, I'm going to start putting in the bottom extrusion. So I am going to, I'm going to start a new sketch on that work plane. I'm going to throw in a rectangle, and I'm not worried about the size at this point in time because the dimensions that were given to us are basing the measurements from edge to edge, so we don't actually know the sizes very easily. So I'm just going to start dimensioning based off of the information that's given to us. So from the top of the square to the bottom of the edge of my windshield, I know that it's 2.26. And then also from the bottom of the square to the bottom of the edge of the windshield, it is 0.290. Right, so that has set the top and bottom, or the height of that square. And now we're going to do the same thing from the front edge of the windshield to the front edge of the box, and it is 0.675. And then from the front edge of the windshield to the back of the box, and that one is 2.215. So now we have the square that is inside there already set. We are good to start extruding that. Though before we extrude it, I want to put a fillet on the corners of 0.15. And if you just click on the actual corner itself, you see how both side lines highlight, and you can see the little green curve is there. So that just saves you a single click on each corner, which doesn't seem like a lot, but over time those clicks add up. So let's go ahead and finish this sketch. I've finished my sketch. I'm going to go ahead and extrude that. Let's turn this a little so we can see it. I want it to go up towards the windshield, and I am going to choose a distance of 2 next. So it's going to intersect with that top windshield and stop, and go ahead and click OK. Okay, now I have done half of that interior protrusion. It's gone up towards the windshield. Now I need it to come out towards the screen where I'm looking at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new sketch. And I'm just going to do this the real simple way. I'm going to project geometry and highlight the entire rectangle. That's it. I'm going to finish the sketch. We're going to extrude again, this time away, and we need that to go to a depth of 0.670 according to our sketch. So I am merrily on my way to having this almost done. I'm going to go ahead and shell this right now and get that taken care of. All right. The last thing that we need to do, guys, to finish up our windshield is to put in these 4 little, or actually 6 little nubs off the side, 2 above, 2 below, and 1 left and 1 right. And what we have right here, we haven't talked about this yet in class, is what's called a detail view. So it says detail B, and that means that this section right here that's circled with a B, this is a blow up or zoomed in little snapshot of it so that we can see exactly how large this little nub is. It's too small on this drawing to be able to see, so we blew it up so we can see it here. All right, so we've got these tiny little nubs to put in. I am going to start just doing the one on the bottom here. Now I need a work plane to work on because I want to put this along this bottom edge. So as usual, I am just going to choose plane. I like offset from plane. I'm going to click the bottom edge of that extrusion and then just go ahead and click OK. To clean things up a little bit, I am going to turn off, I'm going to turn off the visibility. I'm going to try to on work plane 1. We'll turn off the visibility just so that's out of our way. Now our dimensioned drawing is telling us that there's going to be a tiny little rectangle right here attached to this edge. So since we started a new work plane, let's start a sketch on that work plane, and then we're going to project the geometry of that last extrusion we just made. And let's make a tiny little rectangle. I'm going to zoom way in. And I'm just going to attach this tiny little rectangle here. Now I know from my dimension drawing that is 0.05 in width and 0.044 in height. That's the size of it. Now I need to dimension it from the outer edge, or the front edge rather, of my windshield to the edge of that rectangle. And again, according to my dimension drawing, it's supposed to be 0.950. Boom. All right. Now we have a choice to make here. We have to put another one of these little rectangles here to its left, and then 2 up on this side. We can do one of several things. You can go ahead and mirror this over in 2-dimensional mode. You can go ahead and extrude it and mirror it over in extrusion mode and then extrude it up here, or you can draw each one individually. I personally like efficiency, so I'm going to do some mirroring. So I'm going to finish this sketch, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude that little nubby. And I am going to bring it, let's see, which way is this? Backwards towards the top. I'm going to do 2 next, so it'll go all the way up to the top, and go ahead and click OK. So if I look at, sorry guys, if I look over here inside, you can see how it goes all the way up to the top. All right, let's get this position back to where we were for simplicity's sake. Now I'm going to mirror that little nubby over here, and then I'm going to do another mirror up here. So I need to put in some mirroring points. I'm a big fan of a plane, so I'm just going to click plane, if I click on that side of this box and that side of this box, it conveniently puts one right in the middle. And while I'm here doing planes, I'm going to put one from that side to this side because I'll need both of those. Now let's go back to the bottom. Now I'm going to go ahead and mirror, and you might have to scroll in to get it to highlight, or we can just go over here and click on Extrusion 5, and I'm going to mirror it on this work plane right here that we just put in. And look, you can see that it mirrored it over. Go ahead and click OK. And now I'm going to repeat that process of mirroring both of these up to the top. So let's mirror. This would be Extrusion 5 and mirror 2 along this plane. And there we go. So we are 4 of our 6 little nubbies that are done. We need to put the 2 in on either side here. So we'll start a new sketch. We're going to go back to work plane 3. This thing's always moving on us. As to do the nub on the front and the back here, I know that the rectangle is going to be equally spaced across above and below this plane. So I'm going to use the line tool to draw this in. And the first thing I want to do is go ahead and project the geometry of this overall shape. We're going to grab our line tool, and I'm going to scroll way in so I can see this. And right here on the origin point, I'm going to start, and I'm going to take a line straight down 0.025. That's half of our overall height. And then its width is 0.044. We know that. I'm going to take it up its entire height and then just finish off this entire rectangle. All right, so try that one more time. I missed a line there. There. I've finished off my entire rectangle. It's perfectly centered. I can go ahead and extrude it. So I'm going to finish my sketch. Extrude that. Again, I'm going back to next. Hit OK. Hit OK. And then if I look here, I can see that it went all the way back. Now I'm going to mirror again. I'm just going to mirror that one. So mirror. Again, sometimes it's hard to click on these little nubs, so I'm just going to choose the extrusion right from my browser bar. My mirror plane is the one I put in the middle. There you can see it is. Hit OK, and there are our 6 little nubs. We finished our modeling. And just to make it look nicer, I'm going to go ahead and hide all of these work planes, or just turn visibility off. And then just to take it up a notch, I'm going to change the color. So let's go ahead and change the color. It is under Tools. I'm going to change the appearance, and I want to make mine blue, so I'm going to search for blue. You've got a lot of blue choices here. I like this clear blue. You'll notice when I select it, it puts it up here for me. Now if I highlight my entire object and choose that color, it changes it to that blue. And there we have it, gents. We can make it pretty. You can also quickly change colors up here at the default as material. You usually get a big long list, and it's a little bit more difficult if you know exactly what you're looking for. It's easier just to use the tools feature. All right, so save your work and turn it in. I hope this was helpful.